The National Electrical Code, with a few exceptions, applies to both alternating current and direct current systems. Table 310.15b16 in Article 310 provides ampacity adjustments applicable to both alternating current and direct current applications. Section 300.3b clarifies that the Code's provisions apply to all electrical installations unless modified by specific code sections. These exceptions primarily involve installations under the exclusive control of communications utilities or electric utilities for communication, metering, generation, transformation, transmission, or distribution of electric energy. While the National Electrical Code doesn't explicitly state its universal application to both alternating current and direct current systems, the absence of differentiation in most provisions implies its general applicability to both. Therefore, it is widely understood that the National Electrical Code applies to both alternating current and direct current systems unless explicitly stated otherwise. Some sections within the National Electrical Code specifically address alternating current or direct current systems. For instance, Article 210, which covers branch circuits, explicitly permits branch circuits to be either alternating current or direct current. This indicates that the requirements outlined in Article 210 are applicable to both alternating current and direct current systems. Conversely, other sections of the National Electrical Code may impose distinct requirements for alternating current and direct current systems. For example, Article 404, concerning switches, mandates that switches be rated for the voltage and current of the circuit on which they are installed. This requirement may differ between alternating current and direct current systems due to variations in voltage and current ratings of switches depending on the system type. When assessing the differences between alternating current and direct current, one needs to understand that alternating current periodically reverses direction while direct current flows in one direction. This fundamental difference impacts various aspects of electrical system design and operation, including conductor ampacity, overcurrent protection, and grounding. Understanding conductor ampacity involves determining the maximum current a conductor can carry continuously without exceeding its temperature rating. Table 310.15b16 provides ampacity correction factors and adjustment factors for ambient temperature and the number of conductors in a raceway or cable. These factors are crucial for ensuring conductors operate within their safe temperature limits, preventing insulation damage and potential fire hazards. The adjustment factors in Table 310.15b16 are applied when multiple current-carrying conductors are bundled together. This bundling effect reduces the heat dissipation capability of individual conductors, requiring a reduction in their allowable ampacity. For example, if 4 to 6 current-carrying conductors are bundled in a raceway, the ampacity of each conductor must be reduced to 80% of its value as listed in the table. These ampacity adjustments are essential for both alternating current and direct current circuits to prevent overheating and maintain electrical safety. Overcurrent protection is another area where alternating current and direct current systems share common principles but may have specific differences in implementation. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to protect electrical circuits from excessive current flow, which can result from short circuits, ground faults, or overloads. The National Electrical Code mandates overcurrent protection for both alternating current and direct current circuits to prevent equipment damage and reduce the risk of electrical fires. The selection and application of overcurrent protection devices depend on factors such as the circuit's voltage, current rating, and the type of load being served. For alternating current circuits, circuit breakers are commonly used and are rated for both voltage and interrupting capacity. The interrupting capacity is the maximum fault current that the circuit breaker can safely interrupt without being damaged. Fuses are another type of overcurrent protection device that operates by melting a fusible link when the current exceeds its rated value. For direct current circuits, similar overcurrent protection principles apply, but the characteristics of direct current may require different types of circuit breakers or fuses. Direct current circuit breakers often incorporate features such as magnetic blowout coils to assist in arc interruption, as direct current arcs are generally more sustained than alternating current arcs. Grounding is a critical safety measure in electrical systems that provides a low impedance path for fault current to return to the source, facilitating the operation of overcurrent protection devices. The National Electrical Code requires grounding of electrical systems to minimize the risk of electric shock and to provide a stable reference point for voltage. Grounding requirements apply to both alternating current and direct current systems, but there may be specific differences in how grounding is implemented. For alternating current systems, the neutral conductor is typically grounded at the service entrance to create a grounded system. This grounding helps to stabilize the voltage and provide a path for fault current to flow back to the source. For direct current systems, grounding may be implemented differently depending on the specific application. In some cases, the positive or negative conductor may be grounded, while in other cases, a separate grounding conductor may be used. Careful consideration of grounding requirements is essential for ensuring electrical safety in both alternating current and direct current systems. In summary, the National Electrical Code provides a comprehensive set of requirements for electrical installations addressing both alternating current and direct current systems. While the code generally applies to both types of systems, it's important to be aware of specific differences in requirements and to carefully review the code to ensure compliance and safety. For example, Article 690 pertains to solar photovoltaic systems which inherently generate direct current electricity. This article outlines specific requirements for the installation and wiring of solar photovoltaic systems, including conductor sizing, overcurrent protection, and grounding. These requirements are tailored to the unique characteristics of direct current systems and are essential for ensuring the safe and reliable operation of solar photovoltaic installations. Another example of a direct current specific application is found in Article 511, which covers commercial garages, repair, and storage areas. This article addresses the hazards associated with flammable liquids and vapors in these environments and includes requirements for electrical equipment used in hazardous locations. Direct current systems may be used in electric vehicle charging stations within these garages, and Article 511 provides guidance on the selection and installation of suitable electrical equipment for these applications. In addition to these specific examples, there are numerous other instances where the National Electrical Code addresses direct current systems. These include requirements for direct current power supplies, direct current lighting systems, and direct current control circuits. When working with direct current systems, it's important to consult the relevant sections of the National Electrical Code and to understand the specific requirements that apply to the particular application. Failure to comply with these requirements can result in electrical hazards, equipment damage, and potential code violations. Understanding the voltage drop is important for both alternating current and direct current systems. Voltage drop is the reduction in voltage that occurs along a conductor due to its impedance and the current flowing through it. Excessive voltage drop can cause equipment to malfunction, reduce lighting intensity, and decrease the efficiency of electrical systems. The National Electrical Code recommends limiting voltage drop to a maximum of 3% for branch circuits and 5% for feeders. These limits help to ensure that equipment receives adequate voltage for proper operation. The calculation of voltage drop depends on factors such as conductor length, conductor size, current, and the type of conductor material. For alternating current circuits, voltage drop calculations must also consider the power factor of the load. The power factor is a measure of how effectively electrical power is being used and can affect the amount of current flowing in the circuit. For direct current circuits, voltage drop calculations are simple as the power factor is typically unity. Proper conductor sizing and voltage drop calculations are essential for ensuring the reliable and efficient operation of electrical systems. Moreover, when analyzing a particular installation, the electrician must use the proper National Electrical Code tables. For example, Table 310.16 provides the allowable ampacities of insulated conductors rated up to 600 volts, 60 degrees Celsius to 90 degrees Celsius in free air. This table is used to determine the appropriate conductor size for a given current load. The ampacity values in Table 310.16 are based on specific conditions, such as the ambient temperature and the number of conductors in a raceway or cable. If the actual conditions differ from those specified in the table, correction and adjustment factors must be applied. Correction factors are used to adjust the ampacity values for ambient temperatures that are higher or lower than those specified in the table. Adjustment factors are used to adjust the ampacity values when multiple current-carrying conductors are bundled together. These correction and adjustment factors are essential for ensuring that conductors are not overloaded and that they operate within their safe temperature limits. Other tables in the National Electrical Code provide information on conductor properties, conduit fill, and equipment grounding. These tables are essential resources for electricians and electrical designers and should be consulted whenever performing electrical work. The National Electrical Code also provides guidance on the selection and installation of electrical equipment. Article 110 covers general requirements for electrical installations, including requirements for equipment ratings, wiring methods, and overcurrent protection. This article emphasizes the importance of selecting equipment that is suitable for the intended use and that is installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Article 200 covers the identification and use of grounded conductors. This article requires that grounded conductors be identified by a white or grey color and that they be connected to the neutral point of the electrical system. Article 210 covers branch circuits, including requirements for the number of outlets, the size of conductors, and the type of overcurrent protection. Article 215 covers feeders, including requirements for the size of conductors and the type of overcurrent protection. These articles provide detailed guidance on the design and installation of electrical systems and should be carefully reviewed before performing any electrical work. In addition to these general requirements, the National Electrical Code also includes specific requirements for different types of occupancies. Article 500 covers hazardous locations, including requirements for electrical equipment used in areas where flammable liquids, gases, or vapors are present. Article 517 covers healthcare facilities, including requirements for electrical systems that are critical for patient care. Article 547 covers agricultural buildings, including requirements for electrical systems that are exposed to corrosive environments. These articles provide tailored guidance for electrical installations in specific types of occupancies and should be consulted whenever working in these environments. The National Electrical Code is a comprehensive and constantly evolving document. It's important to stay up to date with the latest edition of the code and to understand the changes that have been made. The National Electrical Code is typically updated every 3 years, and each new edition incorporates revisions and additions to address new technologies, emerging safety concerns, and changes in industry practices. Staying current with the latest edition of the National Electrical Code is essential for ensuring that electrical installations are safe and compliant. Furthermore, it's important to consult with qualified electrical professionals when performing electrical work. The electrical work can be dangerous, and it's important to have the knowledge and skills necessary to perform the work safely and correctly. Qualified electrical professionals have the training and experience to identify potential hazards, select the appropriate equipment, and install the equipment in accordance with the National Electrical Code. Engaging qualified electrical professionals can help to ensure that electrical installations are safe, compliant, and reliable. Remember that electrical codes and regulations are put in place to protect people and property from electrical hazards. Following the National Electrical Code and consulting with qualified electrical professionals are essential steps in ensuring electrical safety. By adhering to these guidelines, you can help to prevent electrical accidents, reduce the risk of electrical fires, and ensure the reliable operation of electrical systems. The National Electrical Code's widespread adoption and enforcement have significantly contributed to the safety and reliability of electrical systems across the nation. The Code's comprehensive coverage of electrical installations, from residential wiring to industrial power systems, provides a consistent framework for ensuring electrical safety. The National Electrical Code is not only a set of technical standards but also a legal document that is adopted by many state and local jurisdictions. This means that compliance with the National Electrical Code is mandatory in these jurisdictions, and failure to comply can result in fines, penalties, and even legal action. The National Electrical Code is enforced by electrical inspectors who are responsible for ensuring that electrical installations meet the requirements of the code. Electrical inspectors typically conduct inspections at various stages of the construction process, from the initial wiring to the final completion of the project. These inspections help to identify potential code violations and ensure that electrical installations are safe and compliant. The National Electrical Code is also used as a basis for electrical training and certification programs. Many vocational schools, technical colleges, and apprenticeship programs use the National Electrical Code as a textbook for teaching electrical theory and practice. This ensures that future generations of electricians are well versed in the requirements of the code and are prepared to perform electrical work safely and correctly. The National Electrical Code is a valuable resource for anyone involved in the electrical industry, from electricians and engineers to contractors and building owners. The code's clear and concise language, along with its numerous illustrations and diagrams, make it easy to understand and apply. The National Electrical Code is also available in electronic format, which makes it even more accessible and convenient to use. In conclusion, the National Electrical Code is a comprehensive and essential document for ensuring electrical safety. Whether you are working with alternating current or direct current systems, it is important to understand the requirements of the National Electrical Code and to comply with them at all times. By doing so, you can help to protect yourself, your colleagues, and the public from electrical hazards.